Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Transfer Agenda Show with the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gav, and with me I have Conroy, and the two of us tonight are going to have a chat about the last 2 weeks of the transfer window, because I think it closes this day 2 weeks, doesn't it? 24th of August. I could be wrong. Someone will tell me I'm wrong in a second, and that's absolutely fine. But we're going to have a look at it. We're going to have a chat about it. We're going to go through a couple of players. We're going to go through incomings, outgoings, what we think might happen, and more importantly, we're going to get loads of comments from the chat as to what people think with regards to different players and living so far and what we may do in the next 2 weeks or so. Conroy, how are you, my man?
No, I'm good. I'm good, Gav. Thanks very much for having me on. It's I think the best reply I saw to your tweet earlier is someone tagged us both in it and they said our business is already done. So I thought that was a good way to look at it. But no, I think it's going to be an interesting conversation tonight. I'm doing well, mate. And how are you? Good evening, or has it been a long day?
Every day is a long day when you've two kids under 8 years of
Of
age,
course.
and one of them being 18 months old and absolutely insane. But other than that, yeah, no, it's been good. I see work as a break. So when I get onto this computer and I start working, I actually see it as a break. Some music in my ears, and away I go. But it is going to be interesting, I think, the next 2 weeks. Not only for us, because I was looking there today with regards to who has signed players, who's done what business, and Liverpool, of course, have brought in Kanate at 36 million. You look at I've done a list there earlier, and I might have missed some, right? So Genie's gone on a free. Davis went out on a loan, I think, yesterday. You've got Grabara left, the young goalkeeper. Awaniyi, I think I've said that right. He went. Wilson went. Gruich went, and cleared the decks a little bit, and Kanate comes in, and I've had Twitter conversations with people over the last couple of days. One guy, Andy, I think was his name, and we were just chatting about FSG's ambition or what we need or what we don't need and stuff like that. Now I'm on record as saying I think we need another two. So I'm going to get that out there early before anybody accuses me of just saying no, you're just protecting FSG and you don't want anybody in. I'm on record as saying that. I'm going to put you on record before we move on, right? So we know exactly where we stand. So you see the squad as it is now. We'll get on to the likes of Origi, Shaqiri, Phillips, Woodburn, that the likes of them are being linked away. But what do you think over the next 2 weeks would you like to see done, in your opinion, for this squad? Would you leave it as is, or would you just no, we need two more or one more? Where do you stand on it?
For me, I think it's really easy for the two pre-season games and then the Norwich the first game. Looking at the bench, looking at Keita and Ox Milner playing in midfield, thinking now we can compete and probably can challenge for a top title and possibly guaranteed to get a top four with this team. But I've got to be honest, Gav, it's not going to be controversial. I completely actually agree with you. I actually listened to that stream you had. I think a few of the day trippers said too. I've said that for a while. I've actually been on record in numerous shows and said we need a number 9 for about a year now. I've actually said that before it was fashionable to say it, because I felt you could tell that there was just certain games where we had to play amazing to win a game. We couldn't just, get an ugly win. So for me, I've always said a number 9, Gav. However, they're all going. They're all missing. They're all been. The only one who's probably left is it I always get his name wrong.
Vlahovic.
Vlahovic. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So see him,
being linked with Atletico Madrid today for 70 million euros.
because he seems to be the only one left. I'm not saying there's no number 9s, but realistic who's attainable. And now it's like, well, what is it? I forgot his team. Is it Fiorentina?
Yeah.
His team. They've just put the price right up. I heard 60 mil. Liverpool have missed a trip, if you ask me. I'm not saying they would have got Ings for 30 million, but Ings 30 million, Andre Silva for 30 million. There was business to be done for number 9. It's not been done. So now, Gav, I would say it's either I'll change my argument. I think it has to be an attacker and a centre mid. That's my two. I agree with you. I don't know if you're exactly the same position wise as me, but I'm still okay. I'm not panicking at this moment because I do feel like FSG, Michael Edwards, they like to do a lot of business since the Van Dijk. They don't really try to share anything. It's maybe you find out murmurs the day before and then it's done or on the day. So to be honest, I agree with you there, Gav. However, as the clock's ticking, right now I'm still confident we'll get at least 2 in, I would say, and definitely centre mid. I don't know do you agree with those positions?
I do. G10, it says Jonathan David with regards to a forward. Paul Smith has Martinez. I'm presuming he's talking about Lautaro Martinez of Inter Milan, who last week there was a lot going on as if Spurs had agreed a deal with him, and I think it may be an Atletico in there as well for him. But Atletico have turned their attentions by the looks of it to Vlahovic of Fiorentina. But I agree with you. There's reasons behind it. There's many reasons behind it. One, I think we need a fifth attacker. All right, I'd be surprised if he puts a lot of trust in Minamino this season. I'm going to be honest, but he may have to if he doesn't go and do some business. I think the Origi one, we'll get onto him in particular in a minute, but I think we need a fifth, and just for the depth up front. But not only that, I think we've seen Firmino in not great form last year. We've seen Mane in not great form last year, and that can happen to anybody. It could happen to Salah. Now he's superhuman, but it could happen to him. And Jota has been a brilliant addition. Bar the injury, I think he would have went on and got easily 20 goals for Liverpool last season, like easily. And he's a brilliant option to have. There's no trust there in Origi for me. I think he's looking at Harvey Elliott as more of a midfielder, judging by what he's done in pre-season and continue to do so at the weekend. So I think we need a fifth one. And then, of course, you have the African nations. Now, I'm going to say there's confusion, but when I say confusion, it's on my part and my part alone. I'm not telling people they're confused over this. But I've seen things like the African nations will really hamper us because they could be gone for X amount of weeks. But I've seen others say, no, they'll miss 2 league games. They'll actually miss 2 league games if they stay at the African nations. I think it may be because of the FA Cup and stuff like that being in around that time. But it's one of those where I genuinely believe we need a fifth attacker, and get him in. And I don't care who plays front three, Conroy. I don't care. That's not my business. I just want Klopp to have as many weapons as possible and a little bit of insurance, maybe against a loss of form or stuff like that. Jordy T says he would like Doku and Basuma in, Origi and Shaq and Phillips out. I would love a 9, but I just don't see the market for it. Thoughts? Well, you got Conroy's on it. He feels Vlahovic is probably the one left. Go on, you want to get in there?
Well, no, the only thing I was going to say, Gav, is because we're Liverpool fans, and especially this channel, I think we're very realistic in targets. Now, Vlahovic, when it was like originally priced at maybe 30 to 40, that's kind of, that's our type of model. That's what we go for. But when he's getting pushed to 60, and I see Martinez is questioned at 70 million, even though they've sold Lukaku, I'm telling you right now, and I'll put my neck out in the line, Lautaro Martinez is an absolute game changer of a signing. Liverpool are not going to sign him, but what I'm saying is, if you're getting into arguments about that pricing, you might as well play the extra bit and get him, because he's 23, 24. I was very impressed with the Copa America as well. If you watched it with oh my God, I watched the full tournament, but I forgot the Argentinian manager's name. But the way he done his formation, obviously to work with Messi, but Martinez got ahead of Aguero to be that number 9. And I feel like if you maybe don't watch a lot of him at Inter, he could be outstanding in the Premier League. And I think if Tottenham get him, I really think that's a missed opportunity, because it's not like he's 28, he's 29. You could get him in, could work out great, and they're selling value. That's the one I wanted to emphasise about Martinez. But just on that, and I know the shout there was Doku. What's your thoughts on Doku, Gav? Because I might disagree with a lot of Liverpool fans in this.
Well, Sean Swain says AFCON is a game changer, right? Before I get on to Doku, Chris Brack says for the AFCON we will miss 2 league games and an FA Cup. The games we'll be missing will be Brentford at home and Palace away. So I think that's where the kind of clash comes with regards to the AFCON, how much effect it would have on us. And Tierna McVeigh says, well as any thoughts on Mo's agent's cryptic style tweets today and last week. Do you think it's almost a done deal? Tierna, I did see one after the game on Saturday where it was like, I hope they're watching or something along them lines, and he comes across a bit of an idiot, that fella. But I haven't seen the ones today, so if anybody wants to copy and paste it into the chat, by all means go and do that, and we will get to that. Olivier says Inter are drowning, deals to be had there. Edwards is circling around dead clubs at the moment. I don't know about that, because I'm of the opinion if they're bringing in 2, we probably know what 2 we want out to clear up space, because space is an actual issue here within the squad. And I think they have, if they are going to do deals, I think they're lined up. On Doku, the talk around him, Conroy, was that Liverpool had looked at him a couple of years back, and for footballing reasons, he decided not to come. He wanted to go somewhere else and learn his trade, and probably a bit under the radar and get more game time, which is a refreshing thing to see from a young player. What I've seen of him, very, very exciting. And the only thing I've seen come back about him is that, he's quick, he's strong, he can beat a player. His finishing is probably not there. And when you look at Jeremy Doku, you're probably looking at someone that will be in the Mane mold with regards to forward planning and saying to yourself, he's going to be Mane's successor in over the next 2 to 3 years or whatever it might be. Mane is a really good finisher. He's a really good finisher. So, but he's a very young guy. But I think again, is that 30 to 40 million that are being quoted?
Yeah, I think roughly I heard rumours, sometimes exaggerate, but I heard 40 million. And for me, Gav, the points are great, but I feel like with our squad right now, you've got a few projects in there with likes of Harvey Elliott and stuff like that. Maybe Curtis Jones could come into that, even though he had a good season last year. For me, if I want an attacker in, I'm not saying like they're going to be amazing to get going, but like a Jota signing, Premier League proven, ready to go in. Because even with Sadio Mane, we signed him on the back of scoring a hat-trick against us as well when we're 2-0 up at the St Mary's. So he was Premier League proven. I just feel like, I think he's very exciting, Doku. Very raw though. A lot of promise, a lot of potential. But for me, I think I need more personal, I need more end product for that type of money as well. Because it's not like a 10 to 15 million gamble, is it? It's a lot of money, Gav, when you could probably get a Bowen off that. Maybe Bowen, possibly not, because obviously West Ham just signed him recently. But I think there's better deals to be done than Doku. But fair enough, everyone's their own opinion.
It's one of those that's being thrown out there. City Fisher reckons Doku still isn't ready, can't find key passes, can't score. He's nothing like Mane, more like Adama Traore. What I mean by that is, what I meant by that, City, is that when you look at him and the style of player he is, he's probably, to put a comparison to him, I think across our front three, I think his closest comparison will be Sadio Mane, the way he plays, the sort of way. But it's one of those that name is being thrown out there because of past links. Probably Doku was the Belgian Sterling, and I don't rate him, says promo.
He could be.
If Doku
be amazing,
if Doku was the Belgian Sterling, I'd take him every fucking day of the week.
Yeah. Sterling movement's unreal. If you watch Sterling's movement,
Sterling is
unreal.
Fantastic footballer. People will tell you, well, he done this, and he absolutely did. The way he left Liverpool was a disgrace, and
it wasn't outstanding then, Gav. He's outstanding because he's with Guardiola. I had great stats. Sorry, I didn't interrupt, Gav, but this is how I looked at it. I done a video once, and I had to compare Leon Bailey with Raheem Sterling, and the best way, I read the article, the best way to describe how good Raheem Sterling's movement is if people, all these comments, all the viewers, they watch him, probably he's the most bang average finisher in the Premier League, yet he's got 95 Premier League goals because his movement's that good. They always score
he's tapping in at the back post. Yeah.
But it's so good, his movement, and that's because of it. It's so it's just it was a funny comment, he said, because he's probably the most average finisher you'll see, but scored a lot of goals.
He has. Luke O'Shea throws a name in there that always interests me when he shows up, and it's Harvey Barnes. It is Harvey Barnes, isn't that his name? Should go all out for Barnes, says Luke O'Shea. What's your feeling on him? Because the talk is that he's on the verge of signing a new deal at Leicester, and he has been injured, but he's back. He's quality, isn't he?
I like him. I do like him. I think last year, I've got to be honest, previous years, I still thought he was a bit raw in the sense of decision-making wasn't great, even though he was really effective. He's one of those players, you know what I mean, where it's like very effective in the games, but at times just like his brainless moments. But last season, I was really impressed. I mean, he kicked off really well, Gav. I think they score, correct me if I'm wrong, about 9-10 goals or roughly, and 4 assists, and then he got injured, a bad injury. He was flying. But what I have noticed is, to me, he's the type of person that I've changed my opinion on. You look at him and I feel like Klopp would look at Harvey Barnes and feel like he can mould him. I'm not saying like lots of work, but just little tweaks here and there that you could get. He's absolutely most impact out of the team. Give Rodgers credit. Rodgers is quite good at that. This is I don't know if many viewers know, but there's a Scottish right winger called James Forrest. So when Rodgers was at Celtic, he got Forrest to actually. Now Forrest is probably in his career had a nightmare of sometimes trying to beat a man 3 or 4 times, but Rodgers got him to get in the box more, get more goals. And I feel like it's not necessarily a copy and paste, but I feel like you can see he's trying to do that with Barnes, more goal contributions, as they said. So Rodgers has probably had a helping hand in there to give him a bit of credit. And that's maybe one that, what is he, 24 now, Gav? Maybe a bit younger than that. You could have him for the next 5 years, 6 years in your team and he'd be a big contributor.
Yeah, AB says 17 goal contributions in 29 games last season for Barnes, which is impressive. City Fisher says Harvey Barnes would be more like another Jota in his opinion, and G10 says they're probably asking for about 80 million, which is fair. Do you know what it was? Was it last season Leicester went on 1-4-1 or 4-2? No, they hammered City at the Etihad. It
It
might have
was
been
5-2 last year, yeah,
5-2,
because quite
5-2.
early. Vardy scored a hat trick,
And
I think. Yeah.
yeah, and it was that day, if I have the game right, and Harvey Barnes just looked untouchable. Like Leicester came with a plan, and it was to sit in and hit them hard, and he played a massive role in that. And I thought, you know what? Look at how he changes defense to attack so quickly, and not just he can get up a pitch and sprint up a pitch really fast. He can move so fast with the ball, and that's why when I seen these links come out, I always went back to that. That game and others I've seen him play where you thought he's just so powerful running with the ball. He's really, really good. But I think that might have passed us by. I
Maybe
think
put our hand in the ring, Gav. If he's not signed that contract yet, you never know. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win the raffle.
well, that's the thing. If he hasn't signed the deal, yeah, you probably could. But if he has, I think I agree with whoever said that there. It's 80 million. It really
Yeah.
is. When you see Grealish going for 100. And Harvey Barnes is probably in around 80. It's just the way it is. Jordy T says Gnabry would be the dream for me, but it's a dream. He's a fantastic footballer. Serge Gnabry. He's
Tony Pulis said he couldn't get a game for West Brom.
Yeah, he's so good. He's so good. And he's just so he just does damage.
When he
Don't
ripped
see him a lot,
Tottenham
and then he
apart,
just does
Gav.
damage.
Yeah. See the Tottenham game when he scored 4. Oh
Yeah.
my! He was ruthless. He was actually ruthless that game. I remember thinking, what a player.
Yeah, Kev O'Sullivan says Harvey Barnes is good, to be fair, but even with 2 years on his deal, he's 65 to 70 million. It's Maddison style money. I don't know what's happening with Maddison. Quickly, Odegaard looks like he may be on his way back to Arsenal on a permanent deal, so that Maddison thing might be out the window now. But Arsenal are mad. Have they signed that keeper for 30 million yet?
I heard it wasn't going ahead, and then I heard the last couple of days it is going ahead. But I'm telling you right now, it's not obviously going. It's not controversial. It's not a Grizz hot take, right?
No.
But I have no idea how they've managed to sell Emi Martinez for 20 million, and they're going to buy Ramsdale for 30 or whatever it is. I mean, that is you don't need to be a genius to watch.
The rumor was 24 plus add-ons, and that was the Arsenal bid, but it couldn't be agreed upon with Sheffield United. So
are Sheffield United paying them that to take?
No,
them?
Sheffield United were looking for more than that.
No, I'm joking.
I think they were looking for 26.
Not good enough.
They were looking for 26. Chris Baxter asked a question: would you take St. Maximin? Gavin Conroy would be fun to have a Maverick in the squad. I love watching him, but I don't know if I take him. I don't know if he suits us. But then again, we've been linked with Adama Traore, and I take St. Maximin over Adama Traore. Conroy?
I would take him, but the thing is, for me, what was it? 40 million Newcastle signed from. Was it last year? It might have just been last year. Pandemic's got me mixed up, but he's going to be a lot of money. I do like him, but I heard someone say the other day, it's like, he like looks good, flashy footballer. I don't care what you look like. That's a Real Madrid attitude, not signing Ronaldinho because he didn't look good. It's like if you're good at football, but however, I've got to be honest, I have been impressed with him, Gav, because shout out to Drifty at Coppish. He made a good point. He says he's got to carry a lot of that Newcastle team, like try to do a lot of it himself. If he had a bit more freedom, that could give him obviously more space, and it could actually allow him to be more destructive against teams. However, though, some people like to be the big fish in the small pond, and they might not work.
Push on,
and you never know. He is good though, but I feel like he'd cost about 60, 70 million.
He'd be big money. I think he would. And AB and others have said this, and I think this is where I'm kind of siding on this. St. Maximin would be more frustrating than Luis Garcia. I kind of get that vibe off him.
For decision making, do you think?
Yeah, I think he could turn around, but then other weeks you're kind of going, what is going on here? Do you know what I mean? But I genuinely, when I seen Benitez take over at Everton, the first name that came out of my mouth for Everton to sign was St. Maximin. Because Benitez would have them so well drilled that he would allow one kind of flair.
You maybe a striker, then just him behind the striker, him behind Wilson,
Calvert-Lewin up top, and you can just play him. You can play him and have a hard-working right side of midfielder and play him on the left and let him be that little bit of a free role, if you like, and the other 9 can work hard. I thought I thought it was
That's a
one of
good
those.
shout, Gav, actually. That
Yeah,
makes me
no, it
laughing.
was just it was the first player that came to my mind when I seen Benitez getting the Everton job, and I thought they might want to make a statement here, and I thought they might do something like that, but they haven't. They've signed Andre Townsend, Demarai Gray, Begovic in goal, because I think they're struggling big time with FFP and what he spent on wages compared to what they take in, and you have a stadium coming up as well, so it's one of those. But back to Liverpool, Divock Origi. Now, Divock Origi has been talked to death on this channel and other channels, I presume, and other
Oh no,
podcasts.
I've heard, I've listened to
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
agreed to quite a lot of them. Yeah,
yeah. So, and I listen to a lot of football podcasts and watch some YouTube channels and stuff like that. And he's being talked to death. All right, but people will say, oh, we should have sold him here, should have sold him there, whatever. This is where we are. We're on the whatever it is, 18th of August or whatever date it is, and sorry, 17th of August, isn't it? And
yeah.
Divock Origi is at the club. Um, I didn't really notice him in pre-season. You wouldn't have noticed him at the weekend, and I just want to know what you think from now to the end of this window. What Liverpool should be looking to do with regards to Divock Origi.
I think just let's call a spade, mate. Like, credit to him. I actually, as we'll look back, I think most fans will love him. He deserves that. He deserves the love. Cult hero, like massive goals. The type of person he is probably the reason he's done so well. Like the goal against Spurs in the Champions League final. To me, that's the definition of Divock Origi. He just doesn't take anything pressure too seriously. He's very good at that. But let's just be honest. The way we're going, the way he plays, we probably want a striker who can press and link up well, and it's just not him. We've kind of it's a good phrase, but we've dragged this out about now. It's for me, it's time to just let's cut our losses. Maybe the wrong phrase because he's had a successful period, but for me, it's like I heard there's rumoured to be a 10 million offer. Just take the money, Gav. At this point, it's more a case of it's not even about the money. It's about we need a space to get someone in. So that's how I feel about it. I think it's just time to go and play, go somewhere where you're going to play more often, and then just do it. To be honest, some of the clubs who have been in for him, I thought if they're true, it's good moves for him. It's actually quite a good move for him in his career, and for me, he's taken up a spot at this moment. And I've been saying we need a number 9 for a while now. It might not be a number 9, but we need an attacker in that team who's going to come off the bench throughout a season and give us that depth. And when we put him on the park, it's a bit like Jota has been. We feel like he can have an impact, and I just think Origi, especially last season, he's just not there anymore. And I think we just, for both parties, it's the best thing to do. I don't know if you agree, Gav.
I do agree, but I think there's a lot of facets to this story, and what I mean by that is that, like Jeremiah B says, he isn't going nowhere. Apparently, he doesn't want to leave. So there's a big thing. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't have to go. I think he signs a long-term deal with Liverpool after the Champions League final. Now, people are saying that he's out with contract next summer. No, I don't think so. I think he signed a 4-year extension in the summer of 2019, which will bring him to summer 2023, which would leave him, if he stayed with Liverpool this year, with 1 year left on his deal and holding all the cards. Okay, so if he doesn't want to go, you can't force him out, unless you're going to do what somebody said in the chat there and just do what you do with Olsen and don't register him. And then you're really taking the hit on it. But I don't think Liverpool are that type of club, especially the way they look at stuff financially. They're going to look to get the best out of it that they can. The second thing is that as much as we're sitting waiting for, something to happen with regards to players, or if a Shaqiri goes free up a spot and stuff like that, other clubs know we're looking to free up spots. Okay. So if I'm say the chief executive of Wolves, who was rumored to put in the 10 million bid that you were speaking about a few minutes ago, I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, there's no rush on this, because I know Liverpool have to free up a spot, because I know Liverpool will have player A and B ready to come in. The deal is already done. Okay. And they're going to get rid of Shaqiri, which means player A comes in, and you really want player B too. And the biggest way of, or the most obvious way of getting player B in is Shaqiri to leave the club. Now, if I'm sitting at Wolves, I'm saying to myself, I've thrown 10 million at them and they've said no. So now I'm not going anywhere, because we're ticking down now. We've 14 days left, and they're going to have to make a decision to either take the 10, okay, which mightn't even be 10. It could be 8 now by the time we go
It could
back.
be 7, 8 by then, yeah.
Take the 10 and sign your player B, or don't take it, okay? You can't sign your player B, and then you're left with a player that he knows you wanted rid of. You wanted rid of him. And now he's sitting there and he's in your squad, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? The other option, which I don't think is a realistic one, is to not register him.
Yeah,
You
that
know what I mean?
wouldn't do that. I feel like because football's funny as well. You never know when, as much as I'm saying he's not done much, but last year's injury crisis, anything can happen, and I think it's not a good move for PR as well. I just think it's
No.
not a. It just there's loads of negatives to that. But what I would say on that, Gav, I was been thinking about this as well. But the opposite way is, you know what Liverpool are like. You know what Edwards, the team, are like. That they like to play hardball as well. So I'm not saying this is a given, but at times before a window ends, especially when it's not before the start of the season, injuries happen across. Someone maybe needs a number 9. And I was wondering, do you think Liverpool are maybe thinking that as well? Like, wait till the last couple of days, and then they can maybe not maybe say go for offer 20 million to a team, but they can maybe say, right, this is an acceptable bid. But I don't know your thoughts on that. Your angle probably makes a lot more sense. But I was thinking that in my head the other day because I know sometimes there's last minute transfers. If Liverpool are maybe hoping one of them happens, and then they've got that player A and B to come in as soon as that goes ahead. But possibly, I think your way makes a lot more sense.
Look, yours could make sense as well. Liverpool are saying to themselves, okay, people know we have to move players on. But, there are teams out there that need a number 9. The likes of a Norwich, say Norwich look and go, we just don't have enough. Let's get a Rigi in, take a gamble and stuff like that and go from there. The sort of way.
Southampton, for example, if I like
Yeah,
Adam
somebody
Armstrong, but
like that.
they might think you need that extra.
Exactly. And they could be looking at it going, Liverpool could be thinking they'll have to gamble on him in August because if they get to September, October, November and they're rooted near the bottom, the chances of getting out are slim and none. And it's too late in January to go and sign a player. Even if you think he might give you some sort of boost, it could actually be too late because we've seen teams being, cast aside, cut adrift in this league very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly, and there's no way back for them. But it's one of those where we'll have to just wait and see. West Ham have been mentioned. DJ in the chat there says West Ham have been mentioned, and it is a weird one. Like Dan Bailey makes a great point. How long does player A and B sit and wait patiently? You're asking a lot of these players, and that's another factor in it. You may have 2 players that you're lined up, and you're looking to move Shaqiri and Origi, which look like the obvious ones, and player A and B are sitting there going, well, I can't let this go into the last 4 or 5 days because if it doesn't happen right, I could be stuck at a club that I want to leave and we've agreed to leave. And what do I do then? They're stuck. Minamino's name has come up as well. We talk about him in a second. But I want to move on and just talk about Shaqiri because I think it was Kevin Sullivan in the chat there said Leon are looking to shift. Is it Cornet? How do you say his name?
I think you're right. I think it's Corny because he
Yeah.
played in the was it quarter final for Leon last year. I might be wrong. Did he not hit the post against? I can't remember the team in the quarter final, but he actually was quite a decent player. But if they try to move to get him to go so they can bring space, well, that's maybe another factor as well. I've got to be honest, Gav. I don't know about yourself. Liverpool always try to play hardball, get the most money. But see with Shaqiri, see at this point, he's done his job for us. We're not. It's going to be we're arguing over what 1 million, 2 million here. Do you think if it becomes available, they just let him go for what the 6, if that's what they're calling it, just let him go for the 6 mil, and just accept that you can't be known as the social media geniuses this window, and just accept that you've had it every other year, but maybe for this one, just accept that it is what it is with these transfers. What do you feel about that, Gav? Do you think Shaqiri will get to go?
I think you will. I think when you look at even the way pre-season has gone, he's been in and out, and then he's not involved at Norwich. He wasn't involved in the game behind closed doors of Villa, I don't think, and he's not involved. Then I don't think he was in training. Nat Phillips, of course, wasn't involved in either of those either, but he was back in training at the AXA today, I think, or maybe yesterday. So it's one of those. There is people in the chat there. Sorry, I'm just going to point it out. There's 1 or 2 accounts in there that are being idiots, and they are being removed by the mods as we go. Okay, just to let you know. But yeah, I think Origi looks like he's on his way out. Now, what was interesting for me is that Origi was supposedly quoted saying that I've told Liverpool I want a new challenge, and they won't stand in my way. And I think it was Lazio being linked at the time. And last season, of course, I think it might have been Sevilla that were being linked to him. And now it's Lyon in France. But on top of those quotes, he's then kind of featured in, I think it was a program for a preseason game, or it was a media kind of thing that Liverpool put out, where he's kind of Shaqiri about the Euros and looking forward to a big season. And I'm kind of going, this is a lot of mixed messages, isn't it? But it's one of those, the money seems very low, I have to be honest with you. But again, Liverpool could be looking and going, listen, he's on he's on decent money, and they're probably looking going, look, take the 6. If you make 8 out of it, fair enough, but we need to clear this up in order to bring a player in. Like Dan said earlier, there could be a player getting a bit of I'm not too sure about this. This is dragging on too long.
Do you think they're ready, Gav? Do you think that player A and B, do you think they're already they are at that stage with them?
Yeah, 100%.
Who do you think they are? If I had to put you on the spot right now, who do you think that those two are?
I don't know. I think it's very hard. The one that keeps popping into my head is Bissouma.
I agree with you there. Yeah, it's went quiet. It's went very quiet on the Bissouma chat recently.
Yeah, it has gone very quiet. And I was literally going back 6-8 weeks ago, literally waiting for Arsenal to announce him. And then they went and signed a couple of players, and I went, that's a bit strange. And nothing else has happened on Bissouma. It's like literally, it's gone quiet, and no one's saying nothing. Now it could be a case of he's not moving, and that's why it's quiet. But that one keeps coming into my head because it was so noisy around Bissouma and leaving Brighton. Where he was going was the only question, and now we're going so quiet. It's a bit it's a bit strange to me. Saul Niguez from Atletico Madrid, I think, is there as well. There's no doubt about that. I don't think he's Diego Simeone's favourite person at the moment. I think he's being shifted around position-wise. I think he's a fantastic footballer. And I think the fact that that's gone quiet as well, and you have to remember United and Liverpool were heavily linked from, and the fact that that's gone quiet, and the noise coming out of United is, oh no, Saul is no more of an interest to us because we believe Pogba will sign a new deal. It's a bit of a weird one. Up front, I couldn't tell you. I genuinely couldn't tell you because I think it's so hard. In midfield, I think it's an easier one to do because when you look at the midfielders we have, my major issue is reliability. Okay? And what I mean by that is I mean Oxlade-Chamberlain, I mean Keita. All right? And I think Keita was very good at the weekend, and I hope he stays fit for the rest of the season and shows us that. But reliability-wise, I worry about Keita. Milner, because of his age. Curtis Jones, because of his age, the opposite way to Milner, because he's still young. Harvey Elliott is a bonus job if whatever we get on with this season. For me, it's a bonus because he's still learning. Henderson has issues. Thiago was fine. He just suffered a bad injury, and you will get niggles when you come back. Fabinho, the odd time gets injured. I think it's probably overplayed a little bit, but he's probably the standout 6 for us, the sort of way. So there's issues there. Now, probably that's me, my doom and gloom version of it. But I think a midfielder for me comes in and it makes us very, very solid numbers-wise, reliability-wise, and impact-wise. That's why I think a midfielder should come in. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If they close the window right now and the season started, I'd back Liverpool to win the title. But I don't think we're going to have the players in place at the other top teams that we have now. They'll be the same come the 31st of August. They're going to be additions. And I think that's where we have to be looking ahead for. But up front, Conroy, Jesus, put names in a hat and pick them out because I don't know. Have you anyone up front that you go for?
See, the only one, I would not say it's... I know actually Grizz has been on a few times and spoke about it. Jamie Holmes in Midweek Fix done the thing about his numbers. And the only reason I'm thinking about this is it's been... I know the comments might disagree, probably will. But see, because I keep hearing this, the homegrown numbers are now in my head, thinking all the other number 9s are away, so that's why I don't think we'll get a number 9, but I can see an attacker happening. Now, people might disagree because of Harvey Elliott played well out in the right, and he can play out in the right as well as midfield, but I know you might disagree, but see the Bowen shouts, right? Actually, to me, they're making more sense the more weeks are going on, and I know there's not been loads of negotiations or rumours about it, but just for the fact we probably need a homegrown player, And a realistic one for me would be Bowen. I could see Bowen actually happening. That's the only one right now. I actually had Andre Silva for the majority of the window. Then he got sold to Leipzig. We mentioned Vlahovic, but 60 million, come on. We might as well get Martinez at that rate.
Is the Bowen one making sense for you, footballing wise, though?
Well, for me personally, like, I'm not going to bore with the stats, but his running numbers are ridiculous. Like, what I mean by that is to press, he can get up and down. He's actually 8 goals and 5 assists is very good. Like, I think people are sleeping on that too much because West Ham overperforms doesn't mean he necessarily has to. When I've watched him, I think he's been very, very good. I feel like you talk about a Salah, someone to come on and not do what Mo Salah can do because that would be unrealistic, but to have an effect in the game. And for me, I feel like you talk about like the Mane signing, he can come to Liverpool and take up a level. I feel like him playing with better players would be a good shout, and that's my take on it. I know it's a Marmite one because I know some people just aren't condoning it, and some people are right up for it. But for me, as soon as I heard the rumours, to me that sounds like a copy and paste FSG signing that 90% of the time is successful.
And the only thing I would say about, like, take Bowen for argument's sake, or a winger, okay, I think it would lead to what will end up being the evolution of Mohamed Salah's role at Liverpool. And what I mean by that is that he'll end up being central.
Central, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So if let's put Bowen into Liverpool's squad just as a test case on it, all right? You would have Mane, Salah, Firmino, okay? And we're all looking and saying to ourselves, we get a 9 of Vlahovic or whoever it might be, right? And like you said, you go Vlahovic, Zeb Malik wants Lautaro Martinez all day long, and twice on Sunday.
Oh, I agree, mate. I just think
you 100% agree, and I think he's a fantastic footballer. And I've also said that I think the next signing we make in attack should be someone that absolutely is of quality to complement what we have, but also be a forward-thinking one. Whereas what I'm saying is that this guy looks to progress over the next year, 18 months with Klopp, and then become a mainstay in the side.
Yeah,
you know, when this side evolves and changes, which it will over the next 18 months.
I do agree,
right?
yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is that if you put a Bowen or the likes of a Bowen, a right winger for argument's sake, you could be looking at the front three we have now. Okay, put Jota or Firmino in, whatever one is your preference, and then you're saying to yourself, right, let's put Firmino in just for argument's sake. Then you're looking, you're saying, right, we have Jota as our first backup, who can play off the left, off the right, and up front, and then we have a Bowen who can play off the right predominantly. Okay, off the left probably, but off the right predominantly. And what that would mean is that if you needed to, you could play a Bowen and you could say to yourself, I'm not going to play Firmino and I'm not going to play Salah or Mane, but I'm going to put Salah and Jota up, but I'm going to put Salah down the middle. You know, it could be something like that. But I'm going to be honest with you. My only concern over Bowen, and I'm not doubting if Klopp, he's on a list. That's all we've ever heard. He's on a list. I don't think it's any being more concrete than that.
No, I don't think there's anything more than that.
No, it's more of a compliment to him that he's on the list, I think, than an actual proper transfer rumor. And it could come to pass that they get the right price and he's on the list and he's 4th or 5th and he's the one they can do. But what worries me is that, and Klopp has got it right so many times, but I look at Bowen and I say to myself, for the money you're going to pay for him, if Salah goes centrally, you happy for Bowen to be your main right-sided attacker in a year, 18 months' time? And that's the worry I would have.
For me, it's more, just to clarify, this is what I was thinking realistically could happen. I'm not saying, as I say, Martinez, number 9 is my first shout. We've played this record a few times, Gav, in this transfer. We know what FSG go for and what they don't go for. However, I would maybe say the reason I think Bowen is the realistic choice, and I do think it would work. I'm not saying it's going to be like as good as a Martinez or as I say, like a number 9 to evolve, which I 100% agree. That's why I've been saying that for a year, that we need that number 9. But the good thing about what I've recently is the fluidness between the front three. And I think if you did have a Bowen, I actually think he could, in a Klopp system, he could be very good. I feel like Bowen would be like Jota. It would surprise people how good, because say maybe not last season because Firmino didn't have a great one, but see the front three notorious for years. Jota's came in and basically said, no, Roberto, you need to up your game, mate, because you can't have a shocker and then get in the next game like you have for the past 6 months. And I feel like it could have a good effect. But as I say, it's not saying my ideal signing. I just think that's the one that, because everyone else has went to other teams, Gav, I actually don't know who else it is. The Ings one, I actually felt like I did feel a bit disappointed. Like, even if you don't think he's, the best number 9 out there we could have got, 30 million for Danny Ings for me was an absolute no-brainer. And I did feel a bit let down with that one. I felt like that's something Liverpool should have been looking into. I don't know if you agree with that one, but that's how I felt about it.
I don't know about going back in for Inks. Captain, it's time to go, says you can hear jingles in the background, and other people can as well. So I think that
Right,
is that your cat or your dog?
two secs.
No,
Right,
no,
my
no,
cat's
don't. It's a cat, is it?
she's wandered in and she's scratching her ear, So
Leave her,
apologies for
leave her.
that.
She's fine.
I'll
We
move
at
her
least
the
we
next.
know. At least we know we have an like Santa Claus or anything,
Yeah,
hasn't?
what is it?
You
What is
know?
it? The Shawshank Redemption, the Green Mile. What's it called? The little Mr. Jingles in the
Yeah,
Green
exactly.
Mile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you thought there was a pack of reindeers in your room for a minute, but no,
No, it's fine.
it's just your cat. Let the cat relax. What's the
Sorry
cat's
about
name?
that. Maui.
Maui is so it's the transfer agenda show with Gav, Conroy, and Maui.
Maui the Menace, mate. Maui the Menace.
Yeah,
That's
so it's all good. That's what happens when you do live podcasts at 10 at night and your cat wants to chill. Tom Boland says it does. It sounds like Santi's reindeer spells in the background. But look, relax, lads. You know what I mean? This is a match of the day. The Ings one we know an awful lot about is what I mean by this is the club know an awful lot about his injury record, and at 30 million is a bit of a risk. I think that's the way they looked at it. Would I have brought him back at the right money? I think I might have, just because of the sort of player he is and what we're looking out for. But again, I'd probably temper that with what happens in 2 years. Are we pinning our hopes on Danny Ings? It has to be. It's a very tricky one up front for me, Conroy, because I think it has to be someone of a quality that can complement what we have, but be somebody that's going to take over the reins in a year, 18 months, 2 years. And I think that's very, very hard, very, very hard to find. And it's going to be a hard signing to make. But I still think if we move Shaqiri and Origi or a Minamino, I think a forward will come in. Virtuous XHD says that Matthias Cunha can play across the front three. I haven't seen a lot of him, and I've got a very mixed reviews. You've something to say on him, haven't you?
No, not him. I was going to say the one striker actually, just because the rest have been probably worn out in the media, was we seen the Copa America. See for is it Colombia? Is it Luis Diaz? I know
Yes, he's been
he's had
mentioned
a
a couple
bit
of
of praise recently, so that might be something. But the thing is with Ings, for me, Gav, it's like I think Ings has had games under his belt, and I've watched him quite a lot with Southampton, and I just feel like he is a killer in front of goal for me. I'm not saying he's going to be best you're ever going to get. He's not Haaland level, of course not. But for me, I think you could have brought him in, and he'd be happy. A bit like Jota, he doesn't have to play every game. Loves the club, could come in, but I think we just never seen the best of Danny Ings, and I feel like the way he can press. You might argue about injury. I do understand that's a fair point, but see at 30 million, and I think because of our sale on or whatever we had, probably could have got a bit cheaper. I do think that would have been a risk to take, but fair debate on it. Like I understand, but just for me, it's because we never went in for the other options like Silva, and the few we've had. For you, would you want one like that had the traits of Firmino, Gav, or because the way I look at it is I want someone who can link up, but I do think when we've got the two best fullbacks or two of the best fullbacks in the world, yet we're the only team in the top 15 teams in the Premier League who do not have a clinical number 9.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that I'm all for the link up stuff, but I think you have Firmino for the link up. I think Jota will improve at that, and I think I'm not sure how good Salah will be centrally at linking up play. I don't think Salah's interested in dropping deep and looking to play and
Looking
move
on that, it's
players.
more on the last man. He's been looking
Yeah,
for the
move
ball.
players around like Firmino would. But I think if it was me, it would be someone. I said it a couple of weeks ago. Somebody that can put their head in the ball and be in the middle of the 6-yard box and be clinical. I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy with that. But I don't. But again, I'm still trying to look into the future, but beyond say this season and what we need right now. And
Yeah.
does Klopp? I can't see Klopp evolving this side into somebody that has a forward that is literally just in the box looking for crosses. I don't think he is.
No,
Now,
no, no. Yeah.
having said that, He's had Lewandowski.
Lewandowski, as you can say,
You
yeah.
know, he's had him. Look, the dream one is Haaland, because he has everything. He has the lot. You know, he does link.
What about Lewandowski? Is that impossible? No, what I mean by that is Bayern Munich are linked. I don't know loads of details on this, folks, so correct me if I'm wrong. But if Bayern go in for Haaland, Lewandowski's only 32.
I
That's
think
not impossible.
Yeah, I think Lewandowski, if he leaves Bayern Munich, will end up at Manchester United.
Wow.
I think he'd be the man that. I think they could look at him next season. Because I think Cavani has only signed another year deal. Am I right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think they get another year out of Cavani, and they look to do something along them lines again. With a 33-year-old Lewandowski, and you get 2 years out.
That's a game changer. That is a game
Well,
changer.
it would work for Manchester United, because you still have Greenwood there. You have Sancho there now. You have Rashford there. You know, you have young, hungry players that are still, to a certain point, learning their trade, whether it's footballing, the footballing side of things in the likes of Mason Greenwood and Sancho, or just, I don't know, I have to be careful what I say here, or just learning the way of the world in Marcus Rashford's case, because Marcus Rashford has done fantastic things for charity, and he basically has a government trying to slate him for it, and that's very hard for anybody, especially in your early 20s as a footballer, and he can only be commended for what he's done. For me, the treatment of him after the Euros and stuff like that was horrendous, and people quickly forget what
Disgusting,
he's
yeah.
done.
Absolutely disgusting.
People quickly forget what he's done, not only as a footballer for his club and his country, but as a person. And you know, it's hard enough to make your way in football. Now, people will say he's earning a lot of money, and that's true, but that's just the way the game is. That's how football has gone. But at the end of the day, Marcus Rashford has had to put an awful lot on his shoulders and deal with an awful lot. Whereas Mason Greenwood is looking to progress as a footballer, Marcus Rashford has that extra kind of layer to him, and he's still learning his trade as a footballer and still trying to learn not how the world works, because that makes him sound like an idiot. He's not. He's far from it. But how, I suppose, politics works in everyday life. You know, the sort of way. So, but on Marcus Rashford, I think he's a brilliant footballer. I said it I said it about a year ago. I take Martial and Rashford at Liverpool.
Rashford's frightening, Gav.
Yeah, I
This
think
is
he's
what
brilliant.
I think.
And
See, if you're a rival fan, I think you notice it more. Like I think, like, you know who the best players of your, maybe, like, obviously we dislike Man United. I think you know Rashford's right foot can do some ridiculous things, and if he can manage to get that consistently perform, he's a terrifying prospect. But I just think he's maybe tailed off a bit the last year.
I think he's tailed off a bit because of what started out as a really good thing for him to do, and people have tried to sour it for him, and I think it's horrendous what's
It's
going
just
on.
society, unfortunately, nowadays.
This is a guy trying to feed kids, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of those. It's just,
And being successful as well. Being successful.
he's been extremely successful. But when a young man like that, who's a footballer and in the public eye, has to actually come out and directly defend himself to elected representatives in the United Kingdom, that is horrendous. You know, how can he? Why should he have to defend himself as a footballer helping kids directly have to respond to elected representatives in the United Kingdom? That's
You knew the tweet straight away as soon as he missed the penalty. You knew exactly what some people were going to say. I'm not even obviously the disgusting racism remarks, but just, certain politicians. You knew they're going to say concentrate more on penalties. It's so predictable, but people are so predictable, Gav.
It's just one of those.
Unfortunately.
And I think Rashford's ceiling is, Kev Bowden says that Rashford's ceiling is ridiculous, but his stock games aren't good enough. Yeah, I agree with you, but I think there's an awful long way to go in Marcus Rashford's career, and I think United have a good one there, and they have got a good one in Greenwood. They really, really do. But Lewandowski, you never know. Klopp could pull a rug from under someone and get that done. You never know. It's just one of those that
maybe Martinez is one for the future.
Rumors now. You're just starting rumors.
No, that's not me. That's my mate. My mate, he loves German football. But what I would say is, see the Martinez one. If you talk about looking for the future, and I don't mean like potential, but someone,
it makes a lot of sense.
Martinez is the one where I'd say, right, it might cost you extra 30 million now, but that nothing's a guarantee. But that's the one I would say, if FSG are ever going to, they put the out to get Van Dijk. Was it 75 mil? The Martinez one does actually make a lot of sense, because you've got a front three who is kind of aging anyway, but unfortunately See if Spurs get Martinez, I'm telling you right now, that could be very good for Spurs. Selling Kane, getting Martinez, they've got Brian Heelan as well, they get a few more players in. You never know, that actually might be a good thing for Spurs. I know that sounds crazy, but they might play more as a team and not have to put everything through Kane. I don't know. That's a theory anyway on it, and it could happen.
Yeah, the Harry Kane one, of course, is mad. I think it has City written all. No, this sounds like a very obvious thing to say that it has City written all over it, but the way it's being carried out, he comes back. He's not fit enough to play against City. He's back in training on the Monday. It's all just.
I don't know about you, Gav, but if I didn't turn up to my work, right, there'd be no there'd be no what's the word it would be obvious. You'd have agreed if you were to come in that day. There's not really. I know it's smoke and mirrors, but it's just.
Yeah.
Do you? I heard you say you think Daniel Levy, if he's the chairman of your club, you think he's brilliant because he gets every penny that the player's worth, and I absolutely agree. It might not be fashionable, but he never sells anyone who's not getting the money he wants. Bale, Modric, if you're refusing to sell him to Chelsea, I've got a lot of time for that, to be perfectly honest. I think that's actually...
Listen, if Liverpool go in tomorrow and try to sign, I don't know, pick a sports player, right? And Liverpool go in and so I'd be on here in 2 days' time going, Daniel Levy is a fucking prick, right? Because Liverpool are trying to sign one of his players. But when you look at it from the outside, Daniel Levy just says, you're under contract to my club and I'll put a number on it. And if they pay, you can go. And the money, apparently the money is £150 million. Or 150 million euros. I would say it's closer to pounds than euros. But it's just one of those. Daniel Levy just decides that there's the number, and if you want to pay it, he done it with Bale. Bale ended up being 89 odd million quid or something, wasn't it? And Madrid just
people are still surprised though. This is the thing, but it's happened already. This is the same thing that's happened. It's not like he's changing his ways. He's done the same thing. So. Yeah, I don't know what the surprise. I guarantee if he goes, he'll get the money he wants. I could maybe see I think maybe 125. It might be a bit lower than that, Gavin, but fair play, could be 150.
Absolutely. Breaking news, Daniel Levy is refusing to sell Harry Kane and is no longer accepting phone calls regarding the deal, according to Jay Bort and the Telegraph. We'll have to see, but then someone else comes in. Jonathan comes in and says, bid accepted by Spurs then.
100%. That'll be the front page tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
With the man's top.
But look, we're talking about transfers and what can we do and are we right to do this and we right to do that, and then you've a club, 30 miles up the road, literally got thrown 150 million quid around after telling you they couldn't afford anything 3 months ago. So that's the sort of game you're playing. With regards to Harry Kane, he's if he's looking, I think he's looking to go to Man City. I think he's done it very poorly. The first thing you don't do is ask Gary Neville to do an interview with you. All right, it's simple.
Yeah, I can't understand that. I don't know how he thought that was going to go.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I think Kane, as I said, I think City should have went in from last summer. But he probably didn't because Kane's there thinking Mourinho this and that, and or a year off the back of a Champions League final and the new stadium that we haven't really seen the potential of yet, and Harry Kane wanted to experience that, and City are picking their moment now. They're picking their moment and they're saying, right, everything's in place now. Mourinho's not there. They've brought in Nuno Espirito Santo. What way is that going to go? The stadium, all right, it will be full, but how much are they trying to pay back and how much money have they got to spend? And they're just going, we'll just pounce on this. And that's what City are doing. They're pouncing on it because they keep putting stuff out. Like for Guardiola to turn around and go, oh, well, I presume there'll be loads of teams interested in Harry Kane. There's about 2 teams in the Premier League, 3 tops, that will pay 150 million for Harry Kane and have the money to do so. All right, and Chelsea aren't going to do it after signing Lukaku, and I don't think United are going to do it after spending 115 million quid on 2 players. So whatever way Guardiola spins it, it's his club. You know what I mean? It's his club that are doing it. That's it.
I know. So it's just funny that interview says, "No, we can't afford that. We can't afford."
Yeah. It's and that's it. Like it's messed up. Harry Kane should have kept his mouth shut, said nothing, and went to the club and said, "Look, I want to leave." And you see, that's where this is what's holding it all up. Harry Kane doesn't want to tell the sports fans that he wants to go to Manchester City, all right, because his legacy at Spurs will be immediately done with. Because people only remember what happened yesterday. You don't remember what you've done to them. If you hurt them today, they remember that. They don't.
The Grealish thing was the best way to do it. Like Grealish, even though I'm not saying obviously I think there was a clause in with Grealish, but even the day before, he's at training, he's taking pictures, he's speaking to the fans. It's like you can just tell that to Grealish that was a a difficult decision. It wasn't like I'm leaving for the money. I think you can tell that it was about him to develop in his career. I think you compare them because they're both a lot of money. And to me, Aston Villa fans, there might be one or two who are like maybe saying, why would they stay? I mean, like they finished, was it 11th for the finish? They're not like just off getting top six. You know, they're going to be quite far away from that. See if Kane had just came out and been honest with the fans, the deal would probably, anything could have happened from that. But as you said, Gav, he's maybe tried to play it slyly and it's not going to work out well. And you're right, mate. The fans genuinely just remember what happened yesterday. That's the way football is, to be honest. And
I'd be surprised if Jack Grealish doesn't go back to Villa Park and get absolutely hounded.
You'd be surprised that you think he will get
I'd be
hounded.
surprised if he doesn't go back there and there's a lot of people upset with him.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it ended
I'm
okay.
telling you now, people only remember what you've done.
Do you think Benitez will get hounded when Everton come to Anfield?
No, because I'll tell you why. Because Everton hate him, and I think the fact that Everton hate him is enough for Liverpool fans to go, no problem. You know, if Everton
even when he was at Chelsea, though, he still got a good reception.
Yeah, and even more so with Everton because Everton fans are literally trudging across Stanley Park to play Liverpool with Rafa Benitez as the manager, and they can't stand it. So Liverpool fans, as a reason for that, will turn around and go, "Yeah, it's fine." You know, there might be some in the ground that will throw a bit at him, but nothing compared to
Benitez has done a lot for Liverpool, like the City as well. So I think that does come into a fair point as well.
Exactly.
But it'll be interesting in the Grealish one, mate, because it's funny how we're both saying the same thing, and I'm thinking it'll be that way. So it's interesting just looking at it, that it's obviously been quite a interesting one. But yeah, the Kane one, it's I reckon he'll go 100%. I mean,
but Kevin Ball says the same. City will get Kane in the end. It's inevitable.
It's just boring now, isn't it? It's actually just boring. I don't care when I see it on Twitter now. I just don't care. Yeah, because it's going to happen.
Mick says Grealish went down with Villa and stayed. The Villa fans appreciate that. I 100% get that. I think the biggest thing about this with Grealish is the club he's gone to. Genuinely, I think if Grealish had left and went to a Manchester United or a Liverpool, I don't think there'd be an issue. I genuinely, I think they would have went, look, they're just the two biggest clubs in the country, and one of them will come in for Jack Grealish, the Champions League, and they're going to be going for titles, and Grealish feels he has to go and do that. The fact that he's done it with Manchester City, there's always that caveat around Manchester City is you've gone for the money. Especially 105 million quid. I think that's where the Villa fans might have the issue.
Do you not think he just wants to win trophies though, in the sense of go there for a couple of years, like a bit like Milner, go there a couple of years and then decide what to do after it? I actually think Jack Grealish could be back at Villa in the next 5 years or next 6 years. I could actually see him going back there, to be honest, Gav. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It will. We've got through loads there, haven't we? We've done well.
I think you're going to mention Minamino for 2 seconds, maybe. I think I stopped you on that.
Just the Minamino thing. I think he might be the victim of circumstance. Whereas if Liverpool get rid of a Shaqiri and they can bring a player in and they want to do another one, I think moving Minamino out on a loan or a permanent, I think to make room, I think that's where it might happen. That's what might happen with him. But we'll have to wait and see. We've 2 weeks left, Conroy. We've loads to talk about. We'll do this a couple of times before the window ends. We will be live on the night of the window as well, closing. We'll probably be live from 9 till.
Get your yellow tie on. You get your yellow tie on, Gav.
Yellow tie. I think I once wore a yellow builder's hat on a show on transfer deadline.
High vis on.
Yeah, high vis, something like that. Or paint the whole house yellow like Only Fools and Horses with the Chinese takeaway, as Shawnee was telling us the other night. But look, we've got through loads. We didn't even get to Phillips. We didn't get to Woodburn. But we will. Because as I said, there's 2 weeks to go. We'll have to wait and see what happens with regards to incomings and outgoings. And of course, when the window closes, we will get reaction from people within the LFC Daytrippers, other people that come on as guests and shows, but most importantly, people in the comments who have thrown in so much good stuff tonight. They will give their reaction as well, not only on the shows, but on Twitter and on our Discord. Go on our Discord. The Discord's always great for all this stuff. But on our Twitter, on our Discord, on our Instagram, our Facebook and stuff like that. But this is what makes it, all these comments in there, that makes it tonight, because we are talking away and comments were coming up and I was getting them on the screen, and then we went down that rabbit hole, and then we went on another tangent, and that's what it's all about, talking about people's opinions. Before I go, first of all, I'd like to thank Conroy and his Cat for joining us. The Cat being the star of the show amongst the three of us, in fairness.
Absolutely.
But yeah, but Sienna Steps, don't forget, if you can support that, absolutely great. The link is in the description if you want to virtually buy a ticket for Anfield at €1 a ticket. You can also get the link for her page on our website that will bring you through to our GoFundMe page. And as I said, if you can donate, brilliant. If you can, just spread it to as many people as you possibly can. With regards to the rest of the week, tomorrow is Wednesday. That is the midweek fix with Jamie, myself. I'm back. Keith's back from holiday. The cheek of him gone on holiday, and Phil
Can't
Egan
believe he's
as well.
done that. He can't get
Oh
away
no,
with
it was
that.
unbelievable. He didn't even put in a request for him. He just went. And Phil Egan is with us as well tomorrow. Grizz is on Thursday night with Carnage, and Friday night Avi is back with
Sports
Sports Unplugged,
Unplugged. Yeah,
which is
very good
brilliant.
show.
He has
Yeah,
a
very
really
good.
good guest this week, and if you're into all different sports and football and Liverpool, get on that because it's really, really good. He's working so hard on guests, and he's so dedicated. He does notes and everything. It's amazing.
Super. Just to add, Gav, as well, see the
Hmm.
Jared Bowen stats? I got that from Jamie at the Midweek Fix, so that's another great show. So I'm just not stealing that from him as well. That was Jamie's
Yeah.
stat on the heat map. So just to give him the credit for that.
And in fairness, Jamie loves bringing up stats. He's not a big stats man, but he loves bringing up stats for people to look at and get an idea of what they're talking about. And he's actually working on he's working with a company at the moment to try get them to supply us all the stats for each show this season. It's one company giving us all the stats that you need from now until May. Let me see. Hopefully 2 more in. Gav says Jason Leonard. Absolutely. City Fisher says he loves Avi's new show. Seriously, it's really good. 2 lads having a drink, talking about football, UFC, American football.
Yeah,
There's
a lot
all
of
sorts
Olympic
going on.
stuff was in it as well.
Olympic
It's
stuff,
great,
yeah.
yeah.
We're past the Olympics now, so he's going to have to find some more sports to
Oh yeah,
talk
it'd be
about.
a bit quiet if he's still talking about
Yeah,
Olympics.
he's going through the week. He's picking up what's going on in all the major sports, and he's having a chat about it, which is absolutely cool. So I think that's it. Don't forget to look out for the midweek fix, Carnage, Sports. Sports Unplugged. I keep going to say Sports Illustrated, and I keep stopping myself, but it's Sports Unplugged. And of course on Saturday, Liverpool play early on the Saturday, so we will have a pre-match show before, and a post-match afterwards. After Liverpool beat Burnley at Anfield at the weekend, if that's okay to say. I hope it is.
Don't say that.
Hope I haven't put the mockers on us all. But that's it. Anything else, Conroy, before we go? Anything you would like to say? Anything would you like? I don't know. Would you like some presents for your cat? Whatever.
I'll bring Maui in next time. I'll order some of the Daytrippers merch and get her, cut it down and put our version on.
Yeah,
But
no
no, just
worries.
thanks for having us, Gav. I really enjoyed that chat. Actually, it's quite crazy for a team who's it's been quite quiet recently with transfers. We've got a lot discussed there, and yeah, actually, really good chat. And thanks for having me on. And yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, the comments were great as well. The community just brilliant. So hopefully, and I believe, I'm not panicking, we will get those 2 players in. I'm confident we will.
I can just think of your confidence meter just dropping as the days go, and then it just turns into desperation.
You know, like the Roy Hodgson thing,
Yeah.
when he's watching, it's like, and then just drop. That'll
Yeah,
be me at 10
exactly.
o'clock in the night.
Yeah, exactly. So, but look, as I said, we will cover as much as we can with regards to the transfer window between now and the 31st of August. On the 31st of August, it's a Tuesday night, which means that we should be free. When usually Tuesdays are free night during the week, but it won't be free that night. And we will come on and probably do 2 or 3 hours on the spin with regards to the transfer window, running right up until if it's 11 or 12 o'clock. I'm not too sure, but we'll be here anyway. We just bring loads of cans and have a chat about football and transfers and stuff. That has been the Transfer Agenda show. I've been Gav. That's been Connor. He has a cat. Be nice to it. Over and out.